The August heat shimmered off the Texas plains as Sam Walker stood on the porch of his weathered ranch house, watching a dust cloud approach along the dirt road. At 45, Sam had resigned himself to a life of solitude on his 1,000-acre cattle ranch, convinced that his gruff manner and preference for the company of horses over people had closed the door on companionship forever. The approaching wagon carried representatives from the Kiowa community, along with a young woman whose circumstances had brought her to this unlikely arrangement. Morning Star, known to the government records as Mary Crow Feather, sat quietly in the wagon as it rolled toward what would become her new home. At 28, she possessed a rare gift for traditional healing that had made her invaluable to her community. But mounting debts from failed crops and government pressure had forced the tribal council to make desperate decisions. Her marriage to Sam Walker would satisfy a substantial debt while ensuring she could continue practicing her healing arts in a place where they might be needed and appreciated. The negotiation had been conducted through intermediaries, a business arrangement that would benefit both parties while respecting the cultural traditions of both communities. Sam needed companionship and help managing his isolated ranch, while Morning Star's people needed financial relief and assurance that their healer would be safe and valued. Neither party had expected love to be part of the equation. This was about mutual benefit, survival, and creating stability in an uncertain world. As the wagon pulled up to the house, Sam removed his hat and approached with the formal politeness that his mother had drilled into him decades ago. Morning Star stepped down from the wagon with grace and dignity, her traditional dress beautifully decorated with beadwork that caught the afternoon sun. She carried herself with quiet confidence, and when their eyes met, Sam felt something unexpected. Not romantic attraction, but recognition of a kindred spirit who understood the weight of responsibility and the value of hard work. The ceremony that united them was simple and respectful, incorporating elements from both traditions while acknowledging the practical nature of their union. As they spoke their vows in English and Kiowa, witnessed by representatives from both communities, Sam realized that this arrangement might offer him something he hadn't dared hope for. Not just companionship, but partnership with someone who understood that the most meaningful relationships are built on mutual respect and shared purpose rather than mere passion. The first weeks of their marriage unfolded with the careful politeness of two people learning to share space while respecting each other's boundaries. Morning Star had claimed the small room off the kitchen for her healing practice, filling it with dried herbs, traditional medicines, and the tools of her trade. Sam watched with growing fascination as she transformed the unused space into something that felt both ancient and essential, a place where the old ways could flourish alongside the demands of modern ranch life. Their daily routines developed naturally, with Morning Star rising before dawn to tend her medicinal garden, while Sam handled the livestock. She proved surprisingly adept at ranch work, having grown up around horses and cattle on the reservation, and her gentle approach with the animals often achieved better results than Sam's more forceful methods. They worked in comfortable silence most days, communicating through shared tasks and small gestures of consideration rather than lengthy conversations. The breakthrough in their relationship came when Sam's prize stallion, Thunder, developed a mysterious lameness that the local veterinarian couldn't diagnose or treat. Morning Star asked permission to examine the horse, and Sam watched in amazement as she spent hours with the animal, running her hands along his legs and speaking to him in soft Kiowa phrases. Her diagnosis was unlike anything Sam had heard before. She claimed the horse was carrying emotional trauma from a harsh training experience that had manifested as physical pain. Western medicine treats the body, Morning Star explained as she prepared a combination of herbal remedies and gentle massage techniques. Traditional healing treats the whole being: body, mind, and spirit. Sometimes pain lives in places that X-rays cannot see. Sam was skeptical until he saw the results. Within days, Thunder was moving freely again, his temperament noticeably calmer and more trusting. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was as if the horse had been freed from a burden he'd been carrying for years. Word of Morning Star's success with Thunder spread quickly among the neighboring ranchers, and soon people were arriving at their door seeking help for animals that conventional treatments had failed to heal. Sam found himself serving as translator and intermediary, helping his wife navigate the cultural differences while marveling at her ability to see connections between emotional and physical well-being that he'd never considered. Their marriage was becoming something neither had anticipated, a bridge between two ways of understanding health and healing. As autumn painted the Texas landscape in shades of gold and crimson, Morning Star's reputation as a healer extended beyond the animal community to include the humans who owned them. Sarah Jenkins, the wife of a neighboring rancher, arrived one crisp October morning with dark circles under her eyes and a tremor in her hands that spoke of months of sleepless nights. Her youngest son had been struggling with nightmares and anxiety since a riding accident earlier that year, and traditional medical approaches had provided little relief. Morning Star listened to Sarah's story with the patience and attention that had become her trademark, asking questions that seemed to focus more on the family's emotional state than on medical symptoms. She explained that trauma often affected entire families, not just the person who experienced the initial injury, and that healing needed to address the interconnected nature of relationships. The treatment she proposed involved not just herbal remedies for the boy, but counseling sessions that would help the whole family process their fear and guilt. Sam watched these interactions with growing admiration for his wife's wisdom and compassion. He'd married her out of necessity and mutual benefit, but he was discovering that she possessed qualities that made her invaluable to their entire community. Her approach to healing was holistic and inclusive, treating problems as opportunities for growth rather than simply symptoms to be eliminated. She helped people understand that emotional wellness was just as important as physical health. The success stories began to accumulate. A teenage girl who overcame severe shyness after working with Morning Star's confidence-building techniques, an elderly man whose chronic pain diminished when he learned to address the grief he'd been carrying since his wife's passing, a young couple whose marriage improved after they learned traditional communication methods that emphasized listening and understanding rather than winning arguments. Sam found himself changing too, influenced by Morning Star's gentle wisdom and her belief that every person carried the seeds of their own healing. He began to see his ranch not just as a business enterprise but as a potential healing space where people could reconnect with the land, with animals, and with parts of themselves they'd forgotten. Their marriage was evolving into something beautiful and unexpected, a partnership that was creating positive change in ways neither had imagined when they'd first agreed to this arrangement. Winter brought its own challenges and opportunities as word of Morning Star's healing abilities spread throughout the region. The local doctor, initially skeptical of what he termed alternative practices, became an unexpected ally after witnessing the positive results she achieved with patients who had exhausted conventional treatment options. Dr. Martinez began referring people to Morning Star for what he called complementary care, acknowledging that her holistic approach filled gaps that traditional medicine sometimes missed. The collaboration between Western and traditional healing practices created a model that drew attention from medical professionals and researchers across Texas. Morning Star found herself invited to speak at conferences and workshops, sharing her knowledge while learning from others who were working to bridge cultural divides in healthcare. Sam accompanied her to these events, proud of his wife's growing recognition while marveling at her ability to remain humble and focused on helping people rather than seeking personal glory. Their ranch became an unofficial training center where Morning Star taught traditional healing methods to people from various backgrounds. She emphasized that healing was not about replacing modern medicine but about expanding the understanding of what it meant to be truly healthy. Students learned to prepare traditional remedies, practice meditation and energy work, and most importantly, develop the patience and empathy necessary for genuine healing relationships. Sam discovered his own role in this expanding mission, using his business skills to help establish a formal healing center that could operate sustainably while serving the community. He negotiated with suppliers, managed finances, and created systems that allowed Morning Star to focus on her healing work without being burdened by administrative details. Their partnership had become truly complementary, with each contributing their unique strengths to a shared vision. The transformation wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Sam found himself opening up emotionally in ways he'd never experienced before, learning to express vulnerability and seek help when needed. Morning Star, in turn, discovered that her healing gifts were enhanced by having a stable, supportive relationship that allowed her to take risks and grow professionally. Their marriage had become a source of strength that enabled both of them to serve their community more effectively. Spring brought unexpected challenges when some community members began questioning the wisdom of blending traditional and modern healing practices. A group of conservative ranchers, led by Tom Bradley, organized opposition to what they saw as dangerous foreign practices that might undermine established medical authority. Their campaign included spreading rumors about Morningstar's methods and questioning the legitimacy of her marriage to Sam, suggesting that cultural differences made their relationship unstable. The controversy created tension in the community and forced Sam and Morningstar to defend not only their work but their relationship. At a heated town meeting, they presented evidence of their success stories, testimonials from satisfied clients, and endorsements from medical professionals who had witnessed positive results. Morningstar spoke eloquently about the importance of respecting different approaches to healing while maintaining the highest standards of safety and ethics. Sam surprised himself by speaking passionately about his wife's character and abilities, defending not just her professional work but the positive impact she'd had on his personal life. He told the gathered crowd about the loneliness and emotional numbness he'd experienced before their marriage, and how Morningstar's wisdom and compassion had helped him become a better person. His heartfelt testimonial shifted the mood in the room and helped people understand that their relationship was built on genuine mutual respect and affection. The opposition gradually diminished as more people experienced positive results from Morningstar's treatments and witnessed the obvious happiness and stability of her marriage to Sam. The controversy actually strengthened their relationship by forcing them to articulate their values and defend their choices together. They discovered that facing adversity as a team had deepened their bond and clarified their shared commitment to serving their community. By summer, they had established formal protocols for their healing center that satisfied medical authorities while preserving the integrity of traditional practices. Morningstar became licensed as a complementary health practitioner, and their center received official recognition from the state medical board. The success validated their approach and provided a model that other communities could adapt to their own needs and circumstances. The second year of their marriage brought opportunities that neither Sam nor Morningstar had anticipated when they'd first agreed to their arrangement. A documentary filmmaker contacted them about featuring their healing center in a film about innovative approaches to healthcare, while several universities expressed interest in studying their integration of traditional and modern healing methods. The attention was flattering but also somewhat overwhelming for two people who preferred quiet service to public recognition. Morningstar's healing practice had evolved to include training programs for healthcare professionals who wanted to incorporate holistic approaches into their work. She developed curriculum that taught not just specific techniques but the underlying philosophy of seeing patients as whole human beings rather than collections of symptoms. Sam found himself managing these educational programs, discovering talents for organization and communication that he'd never known he possessed. Their personal relationship had deepened alongside their professional collaboration. What had begun as a practical arrangement had grown into genuine love and partnership, though it was a mature love based on mutual respect and shared values rather than the passionate romance of youth. They complemented each other perfectly, Sam's practical nature grounding Morningstar's spiritual insights, while her wisdom helped him see beyond immediate concerns to larger purposes and possibilities. The healing center had become financially self-sustaining through a combination of client fees, educational programs, and grants from organizations interested in alternative healthcare models. They were able to provide free services to people who couldn't afford to pay while maintaining high standards and continuing to expand their offerings. The success proved that traditional healing practices could thrive in modern settings when properly supported and integrated with conventional approaches. As they planned for the future, Sam and Morningstar discussed the possibility of having children and what it would mean to raise a family that honored both cultural traditions while embracing the opportunities of contemporary life. They felt ready for that challenge, confident that their strong partnership and shared values would provide a stable foundation for the next generation. The third year of their marriage marked a turning point as Sam and Morningstar began thinking seriously about the legacy they wanted to create. The Healing Center had proven successful beyond their initial hopes, but they recognized the need to ensure its continuation beyond their own involvement. They began developing plans for a formal institute that would train the next generation of healers while conducting research into the effectiveness of integrated healing approaches. Morningstar discovered she was pregnant in late spring, and the news filled both of them with joy and anticipation. They spent months preparing not just for the practical aspects of parenthood, but for the cultural responsibility of raising a child who would understand both worlds, the traditional wisdom of the Kiowa people and the opportunities available in contemporary American society. They wanted their child to be proud of both heritages while feeling free to choose their own path. The pregnancy proceeded smoothly, with Morningstar continuing her healing work while taking sensible precautions for her health and the baby's well-being. Sam found himself more protective and attentive than ever, marveling at the changes in his wife's body and personality as she prepared for motherhood. Their relationship deepened even further as they shared the excitement and occasional anxieties of expecting their first child together. The birth of their daughter, whom they named Hope Star Walker, brought tremendous joy to both families and marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The baby seemed to bridge not just their two cultures but their entire community, as neighbors from various backgrounds came to offer congratulations and support. Hope became a symbol of the positive changes that were possible when people chose cooperation over conflict. As they adjusted to parenthood, Sam and Morningstar found that their healing work took on new dimensions. They understood even more deeply the importance of creating healthy families and communities, and their center began offering programs specifically designed to support new parents and strengthen family relationships. Their personal experience of building love from an arranged marriage gave them unique insights into the importance of commitment, patience, and mutual respect in all relationships. 5 years after their wedding, Sam and Morningstar stood together on the porch of their ranch house, watching their daughter Hope play in the garden where traditional healing plants grew alongside vegetables and flowers. The healing center had become a regional model for integrated healthcare, while their marriage had evolved into a partnership that exemplified the possibility of building genuine love for mutual respect and shared purpose. They had created something beautiful and lasting from what began as a practical arrangement. The success of their healing center had attracted attention from medical schools and research institutions, leading to formal partnerships that would ensure the continuation and expansion of their work. Morningstar had been appointed to a state committee on alternative healthcare, while Sam had been elected to the local school board where he advocated for programs that honored cultural diversity while preparing students for success in the modern world. Their daughter Hope was growing up bilingual and bicultural, equally comfortable with traditional healing ceremonies and modern medical checkups. She showed early signs of inheriting her mother's healing gifts along with her father's practical nature, but Sam and Morningstar were committed to letting her choose her own path when the time came. They wanted to provide foundation and guidance without imposing their own dreams and expectations. The community that had once been skeptical of their unconventional marriage now looked to them as an example of what was possible when people approached differences with openness and respect rather than fear and prejudice. They had proven that love could grow from mutual benefit into something deep and lasting, that cultural differences could be sources of strength rather than division, and that traditional wisdom and modern knowledge could work together to create better outcomes for everyone. As the sun set over the Texas plains, painting the sky in colors that reminded Morningstar of the traditional stories her grandmother had told her as a child, she and Sam reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had found in each other not just partners but best friends, co-workers, and fellow travelers on a path that honored the past while embracing the future. Their arranged marriage had become a love story, their healing center had become a beacon of hope, and their daughter represented the promise that the next generation could build on the foundation they had created together. 7 years into their marriage, Sam and Morningstar faced their biggest opportunity yet, when a philanthropist from Dallas approached them about establishing a network of healing centers across Texas. Margaret Sullivan, a wealthy widow who had personally benefited from Morningstar's treatment for chronic pain, wanted to fund the expansion of their integrated healing model to underserved communities throughout the state. The proposal was ambitious and exciting, but it would require significant changes to their comfortable life on the ranch. The expansion project would involve training dozens of practitioners in their methods, developing standardized curricula that could be adapted to different communities, and creating sustainable business models that would allow each center to operate independently while maintaining quality standards. Morningstar would need to travel extensively to oversee training programs, while Sam would handle the administrative and financial aspects of managing multiple locations. Hope, now 2 years old, had become the center of their world, and both parents worried about how increased travel and responsibilities would affect their family life. They spent weeks discussing the proposal, weighing the potential benefits to thousands of people against the personal costs of a more demanding schedule. Morningstar felt called to share her healing gifts with a broader audience, while Sam recognized the business opportunity to create lasting positive change on a larger scale. The decision became clearer when they realized they could structure the expansion to include family-friendly policies that would allow other practitioners to balance professional growth with personal responsibilities. They proposed creating residential training programs at their ranch, where students could bring their families and learn in a supportive community environment. This approach would preserve the personal connections that made their healing work effective while enabling growth. By the end of the year, they had established the Walker Crow Feather Institute for Integrative Healing, with their ranch serving as the headquarters and training center. The first cohort of students arrived in spring, representing diverse backgrounds but sharing a common commitment to holistic healing approaches. Sam and Morning Star discovered that teaching and mentoring other healers brought new dimensions to their own relationship and deepened their understanding of their calling. 10 years after their arranged marriage began, Sam and Morning Star celebrated their anniversary by hosting the graduation ceremony for their third class of certified integrative healers. Representatives from 20 healing centers across Texas gathered at the ranch to share success stories, compare methodologies, and plan for continued expansion. What had started as a desperate arrangement to solve financial problems had evolved into a movement that was changing how people thought about health and healing. Hope, now 5 years old, moved easily between English and Kiowa, equally comfortable helping her mother gather medicinal plants and assisting her father with ranch management tasks. She had grown up surrounded by healers from various cultural backgrounds and seemed to absorb their wisdom naturally. Her parents were careful not to assume she would follow their path, but they provided rich exposure to both traditional and modern approaches to understanding the world. The network of healing centers had documented remarkable success rates in treating conditions that conventional medicine struggled to address effectively. Chronic pain, anxiety, depression, and addiction had all shown significant improvement when treated with integrated approaches that addressed emotional and spiritual dimensions alongside physical symptoms. The work had gained recognition from major medical institutions and attracted research funding from federal health agencies. Sam had discovered unexpected fulfillment in the business aspects of their expanded mission, developing innovative funding models that made healing services accessible to low-income communities while ensuring practitioners could earn sustainable livings. His transformation from isolated rancher to visionary leader demonstrated the power of purpose-driven partnerships to unlock hidden potential in individuals. Morning Star had become a respected voice in national conversations about healthcare reform, advocating for policies that would integrate traditional healing practices into mainstream medical systems. Her gentle wisdom and practical success stories had convinced skeptics that alternative approaches could complement rather than compete with conventional treatments, creating better outcomes for patients and more satisfying careers for healthcare providers. As they watched the sunset paint the Texas sky in familiar shades of gold and crimson, Sam and Morning Star held hands and marveled at the journey that had brought them from a practical arrangement to a love story that had touched thousands of lives. Their daughter played nearby, her laughter mixing with the voices of their extended healing community, and they felt profound gratitude for the unexpected blessings that had grown from their willingness to trust in something larger than themselves.